and most of them fell asleep. They went home. So thank you for staying back and listening to the rest of it. We kept the best for the last. So I want to summarize a few comments that from the morning session. Um, One of the things that Dr. G.K. Rath was saying, the 80+% of the cancer patients who come to the cancer center are coming with advanced disease. So he emphasized detection and effective treatment. So it's absolutely critical that we focus on that. An ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. And there are two kinds of thinking. A thinking, if you're living in India and you spend all your life in India. I spent until I graduated from undergraduate in engineering, then left to Canada and the United States. The thinking in the United States is much different from how we think in India. 40 years ago, I came to BRC 3 times in 1 year. Wanted to get permission to manufacture some of the technologies I presented today in India. They refused to give me permission. So then I gave up. There's no point in 2 years later, BRC set up a division called Baba Radioisotope Technology. And they have spent hundreds of $1,000,000 in wasting how they were doing that. In the meantime, I went to the United States. I'm able to accomplish a lot more. The thinking from the United States is everything is possible. We can do that. If there's a will, there's a way to do that. So you look at that. Every Indian citizen who left India, went abroad, have been very, very successful. So this is what I was pointing out to that bureaucracy and corruption is killing India. 15 years ago, Brit in Calcutta put out a tender for cyclotron, medium energy, about 30 MeV cyclotron. One of my staff went there to attend the preview meeting. The director of Brit said, "How much money are you going to give me?" He was blunt. He was looking for a bribe. And we cannot do that. I'm an American citizen. If I engage in bribe, I can end up in prison in the United States. So we didn't do that. So they spent about $30 million buying a cyclotron from another company. 15 years later, that cyclotron is still not functioning right. So I can tell you lots of horror stories I have experienced personally in India about trying to make progress. So in any case, the goal is that from a thinking, having traveled more than 20 countries, every hospital in the world needs something from us, and doing business and having centers, lots of our teletherapy units. And I think that I have very different thinking, very different approach. When we were doing the lunch break, one of the young medical physicists asked me a question. I was a bit surprised. He said, "We have lots of linacs in the country. Why are we talking about cobalt teletherapy unit?" But he had no clue the fact cobalt teletherapy unit with the built-in MLC provides the same treatment as a linac, where you spend multi-million-dollar to care, spend $200,000 to $300,000, $400,000 a year in service contract, turning only 20 to 30 patients a day. Every cobalt teletherapy mission in India have been working for 30, 40 years, Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week, treating hundreds of patients. In Nigeria, for 200 million people, the only machine, teletherapy machine that's giving a 7 days treatment, hundreds of patients a day, is our Equinox 100 cm with external MLC, and they had it for 5 years. So I can tell you lots of stories. You go to any center in India, who have a cobalt therapy unit, they're treating hundreds of patients. And anybody who's got a Teratron, and they've been using it for 20, 30, 40 years. Now, a unit that may be 20 or 30 years old, we're saying we can upgrade them to the electronics and all of the wonderful features that we have. So there are 500 bunkers in India. There are 80 centimeter built for cobalt. We can create teletherapy and cancer treatment program, including with the HDR unit. We have HDR, the more than 200 HDR unit in India, but the sources are being imported. BRIC is not capable of manufacturing sources. Many years ago, I offered the technology to manufacture, to sell that in India. They refused to do that. So we have in India the resources there. If the software industry is controlled by BRC or BRIC, the software industry would not be as successful as it is today. So what we're seeing in India versus what we're seeing in the United States, the free enterprise that makes it possible. And that is a very important, significant thing. So I'm thinking, living in India and reading and dealing with the bureaucracy versus living abroad like the United States of America. The United States is still the most powerful country in the world. The most valuable company in the world is Microsoft. The CEO of Microsoft is Satya Nadella. He's an Indo-American. Google CEO is Sundar Pichai. He's an Indo-American. Kamala Harris is the Vice President of the United States of America. One step close to the President of the United States. She is Indo-American. And what I can tell you about that, there are many, many Indo-Americans in the US government. So we, around the world, make significant contribution, yet we are unable to do that in India. So having said that, let me continue my afternoon presentation. Flash therapy. Everybody talks about it today. If you go to the US, flash therapy. You know, people have a tendency, companies have a tendency to rebrand a therapy into a new name. In 1975, when I was working at the Howard University Hospital, we set up the very first intraoperative radiation therapy and a flash therapy program. And you can see on the left side, there's a LINAC, an 18 mm LINAC, and we convert the room into an operating theater, and we did the surgery and then do the treatment, one-shot electron boost as a prophylactic treatment. On the right side is our intraoperative robotic LINAC, electron LINAC, we plan to introduce. Our goal is to set this in every OR, because every hospital has an OR, and we want to be able to do that so that we can establish radiation therapy practically every part of the country. If you can do the surgery and do one-shot prophylactic electron boost, many of these patients would not need further treatment. Okay. So, the future development and flash therapy. So these are our multi-energy X-beam image-guided multi-energy LINAC system that we're working on. X-beam robotic radiation surgery, E-beam robotic IoT LINAC system. So these are some of our manufacturing facilities in US, Canada. So particle therapy, and a particle therapy, we call that, thank you. Therapy, we call that as a heavy ion therapy, proton to carbon. You can go up to 200, 230 MeV on proton therapy. So when you can go for higher energy, you can go to helium, oxygen, and carbon To produce a carbon heavy ion, you need a 400 MeV rapid cycling medical synchrotron. So what you have with the particle therapy is that you have a fantastic results, and I can show you. So you look at the top left, you see the beam, it's a proton beam, it's much wider, and you see below that, the carbon ion beam, it's much narrower, much finer. So you can give a more precise radiation therapy with a carbon heavy ion than with proton. So, and then you look at the Bragg peak. For carbon, you can give almost about 40% more higher dose than a proton during the same treatment time, and you can actually do with a carbon heavy ion shorter fractionation, 3 to 5, and you will be able to treat some of the cancer that we're not able to treat, because you can give a very, very precise radiation dose with carbon. So the other thing is that the oxygen, relative biological effectiveness, oxygen enhancement ratio, you look at that, and the biological effectiveness is much higher for carbon, and also the oxygen enhancement ratio is lower for carbon than proton. So there is a significant advantage for carbon heavy ion, but that is require 400 MeV rapid cycling medical synchrotron. So this is our 400 MeV ion rapid cycling medical synchrotron. BEST is the only one in the world developing this new technology. We're hoping to complete that and install the very first system in about 2 years. So this is a kind of a diagram. It uses the six sets of magnets, and you can see the treatment room. We can do that single room or a multi-room treatment. So the carbon destroys the DNA much more completely than proton. So there is a definite advantage in using a carbon heavy ion versus a proton. And again, you can see the comparison of gamma versus the proton, and a proton or carbon heavy ion give a more precise radiation, and their entry dose to the skin significantly lower, almost 1/6 of what you will get with the external beam. Bragg peak, it was discovered in 1946, and this is again, you can see the proton versus X-rays, and you can give a much more precise radiation to the tumor, and with a lower entry dose to the skin. BEST Medical entered into collaborative agreement with the Brookhaven National Laboratory, and we're developing this technology jointly, and BEST Medical International is funding it. We've already funded more than $20 million for this, and we'll probably fund another $20 million US before we can complete that. This is our manufacturing facility in Ottawa, Canada. You can see that very large operation. One other thing is that cobalt-60, the LINAC IMRT today uses between 4 and 6 MeV, not much more than the energy of a cobalt-60. Cobalt-60 gives you a mono beam of gamma at 1.2 MeV, which is equivalent to 4 MeV X-ray, and it is much, much simpler, much more reliable, and you can treat a lot more patients. The cobalt therapeutics are much more reliable. They've been in clinical use for more than 75 years. So this is our upgrade program, where we can remove all the old electronics and strip it to the bare metal, and then we assemble it, and we add all the new couch, and it's a 3D and advanced couch, and as well as that it will add to all the electronics, everything new. So it is like a brand new unit, and this is a fantastic way to upgrade all the Teratron units in the field today, and this will make it very affordable. And the other important thing is that the downtime is somewhere between 2 to 3 weeks, and whereas if you remove the machine and put a new one, it could take about 3 months to 6 months, and now this you can do that very quickly. And there are over 200 Teratrons in India, and we would like to upgrade on all of them, and we also would like to put in every one of the empty bunkers cobalt therapy unit. So this is our 6D couch. We have a 6D positioning table, and that is very unique, and we can provide anyone who needs a 6D couch with a gamma beam, we can provide them. We have a 3D and a 6D. This is our total body radiation, and this the distance from source to the floor is about 250 centimeter. You can provide a whole body radiation. This is again a total body radiator, gamma beam 500. This is a manual multi-collimator. This is a gamma beam 180 centimeter without an MLC. This is our electronic MLC that we can add it on to a 100 centimeter unit as an external, and some people prefer that, and we have done that in a number of centers around the world. These are the Avanza positioning spatial positioning table. So again, we have put a built-in MLC on 80 or 100 centimeter unit, and we can make it the treatment. In fact, it's better than Elena because we have the most advanced triple printing software with ActiveRx. So coming back to the Teratron and the cyclotron, we need lots of cyclotron. For instance, 6 to 15 MeV, we qualify with this. It's an alpha isotope that's fantastic for treating metastatic disease. And this is a 35, you can do 225, lutetium 177. Our goal is to produce a lot of radioisotope using cyclotron, so you can get a much cleaner program, and you don't need a reactor. We have a 35 photon 1000 micron cyclotron, almost finished. Our plan to ship it sometime this year. A 70 mm cyclotron, we're building it now for Taiwan, and it could produce strontium 82, lutetium 177, and actinium 225. On the left side, you see BG95, which is a self-sealed triclotron, and you can, at the push of a button, you can get a dose in a syringe, FTG or M13 for ammonia for cardiology and neurology application. So this, we need thousands of these worldwide. We're shipping one to Libya this week, and we're planning to produce about 50 of these this year, and next year we want to increase the production rate to 100. So every cyclotron of any type we can sell, there's a customer for them. This kind of completes all of my presentation, and I would like to see whether Dr. Vegaraj want to get the audience to come and talk, and anybody else, Dr. Rutt and others, may like to want to comment. So,
talked about the latest technology today is carbon. In fact, there are only units all over the world. Even US didn't have a carbon long back. The first unit we have been visiting is in Chiba, Heidelberg, and the second was in it's a Chiba, and second one is in Heidelberg. And today, carbon is the best external therapy machine in the world.
Absolutely.
We will like that, as you told rightly, the RBE is 5 times higher than proton and protons. Proton has only the advantage that it has a bragg peak. That's the only advantage over photon. So we will definitely like that we are in touch with the Niti Aayog to get some money. In fact, money is already sanctioned. Protons are there already too. In fact, we also have got money for protons. But we must try to see another 2-3 years we should have carbon in this country.
Right.
Because that is the latest.
Right.
And for incurable tumors like pancreas, all are using our iPhones by Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs himself died of pancreatic cancer. And today, pancreatic cancer is the worst cancer in the world. Over the last 50 years, the survival rate has increased from only 3% to 6%. Whereas if somebody asks what is the best cancer, if God asked me today what cancer you want to have, I'll say give me prostate, 100% cure. Thyroid, 98% cure. Testes, 95%. Yuvraj had testes. So they are good cancers. Lot of chance to get cured. But if somebody has pancreas or lung, as we were discussing in the morning, carbon is the answer. So we must all try to get a carbon in this country. I am there to help you. Dr. Pratik is also.
You're absolutely right. I think carbon is the future, and because
Carbon is the present. We don't have it. That's our problem. India is a rich country. Some of the Indians are poor. That's
Right.
different. India has a lot of money.
right. But the thing is that
Lots of gold also.
Got it only from India. So if we all join together, we can always, money is no issue in India, but we must all get together and see that it happen. We must have a carbon for our people, for teaching and research at least.
can you all hear me? I say that is that I agree that in India we need a carbon and as a system, but we also need lots of other things. So what I want to say that is that we are a manufacturer.
Yes.
And we want to manufacture all the technologies.
Yes.
It's up to the customer to choose what they want. Okay? And of all the companies in the world, we're the only one willing to invest and develop lots of new technologies. And this is a credit to us and credit to our commitment to the field of radiation therapy. And so, when you look at the clinical results for treating prostate cancer, but even photon therapy and external beam X-ray and brachytherapy, the conclusion was brachytherapy for prostate cancer had a better results and lower complication. So all therapies are good, but I think we need to be very careful about how we do that. So I think my view was that my first priority is that about using filling up all the empty bunkers and upgrading all the cobalt therapy units. And certainly we can look at that and carbon and others. There could be others who can try to contribute funds. India has a lot of rich people, okay? So it doesn't always have to come from the government or the taxpayer. There should be people willing to donate or set up a private center. So my view was that if you set up a private center, a carbon center, in India, I still think that there can be a successful,
Yes.
better than a proton center.
Correct. As he told, there are a lot of bunkers vacant. It's like, we cannot have a missile till all the Indians have food to eat.
Right.
There are 45 million Americans who don't have food to eat.
Right.
But America is making progress. You can't say all the bullock carts must disappear from this country till the time we have missiles. Bullock carts disappearing to give food, that's not your and my job. That's government job. Let them do their job. We are technologists. Let us do our job. Giving food is not our job.
I agree with you. And
Yeah,
I think
let
what
us
I'm
do our
saying.
job, let them do their
Yeah,
job.
but that's, because every time when you want our HDR, you need a bunker.
Yeah.
We have a bunker that's empty, why not use it?
For sure, certainly.
Okay? And then all the medical colleges need and a therapy system. So my goal was that we need to look at that. What is the best we can do quickly? Expand the cancer therapy at the same time and establish a center for focusing on prevention and early detection. We need to do that side by side, so we can't focus on treatment, not address the other part.
Exactly, both should go simultaneously.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
For this presentation, very technical, very informative. and it is a technology of future. We will see a lot of carbon-based equipment for available for the treatment. Doctors are ready, and it's our prime responsibility as a company, manufacturing company, to give an appropriate tool in the hand of doctors and physicists to treat the patient in the better way. Recently, I knew that we have a teacher in the house, a principal, Mr. O.P. Singh is here, and we must felicitate him because every one of we learn from a teacher. Please come on the dais. Vidyun, you may join. Have a felicitation of principal today. We must respect our teachers, our parents, our elders, because we learn many things from them. So before we actually break up for the tea, I will have a small presentation, a note in the presentation.